Hey, this is Matt. Once again, we're about to another video, and this is a paid request for Sean. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. I do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box. I'll get to it as soon as I can. But Sean wanted me to talk about Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, the 1939 film directed by Frank Capra, who did films like It's a Wonderful Life, among other movies, starring Jimmy Stewart. You also have Claude Rains, who I remember from the original The Invisible Man movie, Jean Arthur. And the story is pretty much the senator dies, and they're trying to figure out who can replace him. And a bunch of these kids, who was part of this group called the Boy Rangers, they say, hey, we know the guy that leads that, he's a great guy. Golly gee, he's a wonderful guy. And so Claude Rains of them agree because he seems like a guy that could be easygoing, easy to mold, easy to follow orders, things of that nature, as Mr. Smith, played by Jimmy Stewart. So he gets there to Washington, his eyes are bright, and oh my god, he's mesmerized by all the landmarks, the Washington Monument, and the Capitol Dome, and the Lincoln Memorial. And pretty soon he realizes that things are not as ideal as he thinks they are, resulting in there's this bill he wants to pass to help the kids, like go out camping, all this other stuff, and get this piece of land. But that's also where these other groups are going to have this dam and fill their pockets up. And then when Jimmy Stewart doesn't play ball, they lie about him. They lie about him in the papers. They said he did this, he did that. He's doing this to keep the money for himself. Call him a crook, lying about it, misleading people, trying to throw him under the bus for things he didn't do. So he becomes disillusioned until Jean Arthur, which she at first is there to, supposed to lead him around, help him out, and she's very cynical, but by witnessing James Stewart's hopeful idealism, she kind of turns a bit around. And it results in the third act of the film, which is the big filibuster scene, where this is a real thing that if you keep talking, you don't stop for pretty bit amount of time, I can't even say the word right, bit amount of time, you could keep talking and they can't leave. You could get all your points across and they can't leave. So he's going to keep talking until maybe someone says something or something happens. Someone changes their mind. Someone grows a heart. However you want to put it. And that's a big third act of the film. Now, at the time when this film came out, a lot of people in the Senate, in the government, said it was anti-American. Also, the press wasn't huge on it. It's anti-American. It makes the Senate look like a bunch of crooks. And I'm like, isn't that true? So I would say it's definitely ahead of its time because, again, this is 1939, and it was, mom's apple pie, and, well, actually, no. I mean, I'm thinking more like the 50s, but even then, I mean, you have the Great Depression and stuff, but movies, they were trying to talk about how the cops and the government are trying to help the working man and to be positive, and if you're trying to be negative against the government, they're a bit more angry and upset about that. It wasn't the norm like you would in the 70s and afterward. So I would say it was definitely a bit ahead of its time. And yes, because of the time it was made in 1939, some of it maybe seems a bit more too idealistic, where the small man wins and someone changes their ways, and the guy who is kind of a crook, realizes he's doing stuff bad, and he is able to reconnect with his moral sort. But I mean, that's part of filmmaking. It's part of movies. Is that they're not documentaries. At times you do have to go for your hopeful message, even when cynical like me thinks, yeah, more than likely that wouldn't happen in real life. But that's the purpose of some movies, to give you a bit of a hope and a bit of a possibility that maybe it can happen, maybe this time it'll be different. And I do think the cast works well. I think, Jimmy Stewart, he definitely brings a lot of the hopeful passion. You really see how just aw shucks he is about seeing these things for the first time. And when he enters from the airport, his eyes are just wide open to everything. My God, that's that. That's where they do the stuff there. That's where they do the hearings, right? And then the whole third act where he's just trying to tell the Senate, trying to tell them what's going on, what's happening, the ideals of this country, the hopes of this country. You really feel that passion burning. And you can see why someone like, even but kind of the lead of the committee, he kind of likes what he's hearing. There's this one nice part where when Jimmy Stewart's down in the dumps, he kind of looks over and he sees the other guy going, kind of smiling. But not in a mocking way, but like, I like what you're saying. It's refreshing. He doesn't say all that, but you get the idea with that smile. So, like, that was a nice moment. I'll get more in the details, but yeah, I do think the acting is good. I think the message is definitely prevalent today, where, yeah, there's a lot of crooked stuff in the government. There's a lot of stuff that is going to be for the people, but then it's really for their own personal interests. There's a lot of times where if you go against the grain, they'll lie about you, they'll make up stories about you, and the fake press. Which, hell, I mean, you could do that nowadays and it would still be prevalent about the fake press. How the press would go with a story that may not be entirely true. I do like the line that someone says to Jimmy Stewart where it's like, you're halfway decent, you don't belong here. And you feel bad when Jimmy Stewart gets steamrolled over. And I do think the film is a bit long. It's 2 hours and 9 minutes long. That's pretty lengthy, especially for back then. And it's not one of those, like, it's 2 hours and 9 minutes long and then 9 minutes are credits. I mean, this is the days where you had maybe 30 seconds of credits at the beginning, and at the end you just have the end and you're done. So it felt a bit long, and the ending was, I thought, way too abrupt. From what I understand, there's supposed to be a lot more to the ending, and I don't know if they just, some of it is in the trailer, but I guess they just cut it all out for, I don't know what the reasons are. It's like, well, it's 2 hours and 9 minutes. It's like, well, then cut shit in the beginning middle portion. Because I think the ending just felt a bit too abrupt. Like, what? Wait, what? That's how it ends, huh? So that rubbed me a bit the wrong way. But overall, I did like the film. I did. I mean, it's definitely, like I said, a movie of its time. Like, the kids, the way they act, they're not good acting. It's not natural acting. It's, golly gee, sir, you should look at this guy over here. Yes, sir. You should go over there and talk to that guy, sir. Like, it's very theatrical. It's as bad as when I try to act in a play in middle school. It's as bad as that. I'm like, nope. Yeah, kid actors weren't really known for their good acting back then. Unless maybe you're the Little Rascals, maybe them, but that's the exceptions. But I like Jimmy Stewart, good, capable actor. And also like Claude Rains. I thought Claude Rains did a really nice job. I like the dialogue they had between the two of them. I kind of wish there was more scenes with the two of them together. But I do like the line, the only cause we're fighting for are the lost causes. And Claude Rains mentions that to Jimmy Stewart, then Jimmy Stewart mentions that much, much later on. I do like the line Jean Arthur says where she's talking with someone and she kind of realizes her cynicism is like, that guy reminds me when I first came here. My eyes were big blue question marks, but now they're big green dollar marks. And honestly, you could replace this for Mr. Smith Goes to Hollywood. Like, you really could replace this with the Hollywood system about how people go in with ideals and dreams and everything's going to be hunky-dory. Then they see the corruption, they see the slimeballness of it all, they see how it's a cutthroat business or how a lot of dreams get crushed. And there's plenty of movies that have done that type of story. So it's definitely an idea, a story that, like I said before, is prevalent today. There's some moments that like I said, I had never seen the film before, but I had heard about it. I didn't realize there was a point that when he heard that people lied about him in the press, Jimmy Stewart just goes around punching everybody. He just, like, sees a guy. Now, I don't know how he knows how each of them are he sees a guy pick up a paper, and he just punches that guy. I'm like, did he just punch a guy out just because he read the paper? Or did he know that guy was part of the press? But I'm like, how do you know every single person that's in the press? Because, again, it looked like a guy just took the piece of paper, turns around, and Jimmy's like... So, but I thought I did laugh. He just goes around punching the shit out of everybody. Granted, I don't know how the hell he got away with it. I mean, hell, if you punch one reporter today, you're canceled. But I guess 1939 was a bit different. Yeah, you go around punching the shit out of everybody. It's fine. And you're a senator. Wouldn't that automatically get him disbarred? I guess not in 1939, I guess. So I didn't see that coming. But I thought Frank Capra, like I said, I do wish there was a bit more between Jimmy and Claude earlier. A few more of their back and forth. I do wish some of the other stuff could have been tightened up a bit. I do wish the ending they would have kept, which I'll get to. But I think Frank Capra does have some nice directing choices he made. Like when Jimmy's talking to this girl and he's nervous. But normally you show his face and his nervousness. But here it's just his hat and the way he's holding it. And then he's kind of, holding it to the side and then behind his back. And then he's kind of twitching like he's nervous and doesn't know what to do with it. And the camera focuses just on his hands and the way he's doing the hat. And it tells the whole story of his nervousness. But I thought it was kind of a different, unique way to do it. But yeah, like I said, the press tells him, oh, you're just there to be a prop. You're not really going to do anything. It's okay, it is what it is. Like, pretty much they tell it to Jimmy, and then the Jimmy kind of realizes that the press has a point. I'm just sitting here doing nothing. I need to accomplish something. And that's where he comes up with the idea to have this piece of land and for the kids to come out of the city and enjoy the ways of the wilderness. Now, granted, I would think there'd be much more pressing issues than, hey, get a bunch of kids to go camping, but I guess again they wanted to keep the sweet nature of Mr. Smith. But at the same time, think of it today. If today is like, we're going to set all this money, and maybe you'll donate money so a bunch of kids go camping, I think a lot of us would be like, fuck you, how about fix the economy? Fix the depression, fix all that shit before you worry about kids going camping. But I guess, different time, different state, so it's up to you how you feel about that. But it's a guy who means well in what he's trying to do, and then people, they're greedy, they see the dollar signs, and They don't want this guy to get in their way. As one guy puts it, I'm gonna break them so wide open they're not gonna find the pieces. And they forge some papers lying about him. And if you dare open your mouth, we're gonna really screw you over. And the papers they belittle him. And then that's when, Jimmy gets the idea from others about the filibuster and talks in the Senate. And at one point they leave, but then the Senate people are forced to come back. And Jimmy, again, he does nice. I mean, if you don't have an actor to give those passionate speeches, Jimmy Stewart's definitely a guy to do it with. Don't care for your fancy rules if behind you you're not having a little bit of plain ordinary kindness, and maybe looking out for the other fella too. Like, if you're not gonna be a decent human being, I don't give a shit about your rules. Be a decent human being and look out for the guy next to you, or in this case, the country, the people in it. One thing I thought was a bit, again, I didn't see coming is, the kids who are a fan of his, they're trying to fight against the papers belittling his name. So they go out and parading. And these little kids get in this car and they're driving around, hey, Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith. And someone in another car hits them and makes them go off the road. And then you get a phone call, oh, they heard the kids. I'm like, yeah, did any of those kids die? I'm like, holy shit, now we're trying to get kids killed. The opposition is so against Mr. Smith, they're trying to murder a bunch of kids. Jesus. I'd be like, let them talk. They're just a bunch of kids. Having to run them off the road. Pretty damn hardcore. Shit. So, maybe some would feel that's maybe a bit too much. And, it seems like it's going to be, if he hears about this, he'll stop doing it, but he doesn't. I don't even know if they tell him, hey, the kids are in danger, because he still doesn't stop. Then he gets a bunch of letters, apparently from his state, because the papers kept lying about him, and he reads them, he's disheartened, and that's when he's sad, looks up, and he sees the guy, sort of the leader of this committee, kind of smiling at him, like I mentioned before. And you tell, from his voice, Jimmy Stewart's hoarse. He doesn't have much, left. I thought Claude Rains did a good job, too, acting, where you see kind of him feeling bad about this. And they do have a scene way before that he didn't want this to happen in the first place. When the people come up with the idea to steamroll Jimmy, he's like, no, don't do that. Okay, this guy's a good guy. He looks up to me. No, I'm not down for this. At least they have that scene there to set up so that his change of heart at least makes a bit more sense. Because then when Jimmy Stewart, I know I'm spoiling a film, but it's a film from 1939. Sorry, I'm spoiling a film that is, God, it's 85 years old? Yeah, about 85 years old. Shit. 1940 to 2000. It's 40. Wait. No, that's 60. What I'm talking about, 40. It's 19. Yeah, it's 60 years old plus 1940 to 2060 years. Yeah, 85. Okay, yeah. I was right the first time. I don't know why I was doubting myself. Claude Rains goes out and he's ready to shoot himself. They stop him. He comes in. He confesses everything. The girl, Jean Arthur, and this little boy who's a fan of Smith, yay. Mr. Smith is carted out while being faded, and the movie's over. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, he won, but the last scene is him fainted. He doesn't even get to wake up and find out what's going on, and apparently there's a lot of scenes where like they did get home and maybe him and the girl had a family, like, but all that was cut out. How it gets out there that yes, they were lying about it, the aftermath of it all. Did he remain in the Senate? Did he leave and just stay at home? What all happened with that? We don't know. I guess some would say it doesn't matter, but yeah, I said the ending to this song was a bit abrupt, especially when you're on this journey for 2 hours and 9 minutes. You want a bit more. So yeah, I didn't like the abrupt ending. And the ending is an important part. I mean, it's the last thoughts you have of the movie. It's the most fresh thoughts. But, you know, I think a lot of his heart's in the right place. I think the acting's pretty good. There's some nice passionate scenes of dialogue, especially by Jimmy Stewart. Claude Rains is good, so did a good job with what he needed to do. Like I said, I don't think it needed to be as long as it had to be, but I still thought it was pretty good. It reminded me of course, this film came out much, much later, but I saw this film way before this one, The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy. Now, granted, Eddie Murphy's character is a con man, and they go to Washington. He pretends he fakes his way to win, which is funny. In high school, one of our teachers has watched that film because about the what's going on and or if maybe didn't make us watch it, but did reference it a lot. I think showed a scene. That's right, it showed a scene from it. Yeah, it showed a scene from the movie, which I was fine with because I love the movie. I'd known. I do like that film. I think that's an underrated film. I would say I like that more than this because that one, it's Eddie Murphy, in his prime. He's still entertaining and funny. Goes by at a faster pace. The ending doesn't feel as abrupt, and yeah, I would say I still prefer that over this. But it's a guy, under different circumstances, gets in and then realizes just how corrupt it is, and kind of lets the truth out there on what's going on. But still glad to at least seen it once, because I'd heard about it for the longest time, and now, thanks to Sean, I was able to see it. So, pretty decent film. With that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.